Hey guys, in this lesson, we're going to be talking about what makes a successful product to sell on Amazon. So let me try to think big picture and break it down for you a little bit of what the different attributes are of these successful products. Now, I've launched over 100 products on Amazon, and I feel like I've started to kind of like crack the code, or I feel like I have cracked the code of the common attributes for these successful products versus the ones that don't do as well. So I've split this into a few categories, and one category is kind of like the must-have category. So I won't launch a product on Amazon unless it has some of these attributes, okay? And these would be that it has existing solid demand, so it has good demand on Amazon, and I'll show you exactly how to figure this out. But right now we're thinking like big picture. So existing demand on Amazon. I know people are already going to Amazon and purchasing this product. I want it to have low competition, okay? And again, I'll show you how we go about figuring that out. There's a few different ways to gauge the level of competition on Amazon. Of course, we want it to have good margins so that we make money. It can't have any legal issues. There can't be any licensing requirements or patent issues or anything like that. And then I prefer now to sell products that have the ability to improve them. So a great way to stand out on Amazon is by making changes to these products. As a result, they get rated better. And yeah, then they sell better because of that. So those are like my must-haves. Demand, high demand, low competition, good margins, no legal issues, and the ability for me to improve it. Now, there's another category that I would say are kind of like nice to have. So I'd prefer products in this category or that have these attributes, but it's not a requirement. So I'd prefer to have products that are smaller or more lightweight. There's just less headaches associated with these. You don't have to worry about large or oversized storage fees. They're easier to ship. There's just a few different reasons that smaller or lighter weight products are nice to have. I prefer products that are easy to source and ship. So what I mean by that is it's easy to find a factory. They're not easily breakable or just other problems that make them more difficult to ship. I prefer items that have low seasonality, and I'll show you in one of the next lessons how I go about gauging the seasonality of a product. I prefer products that are simple and durable. So an example of this is like bamboo marshmallow stick. That's one of the products that I've launched in the past. And it's very simple, it's durable, it's difficult to break. It's kind of hard to screw this up in the factories when they're getting manufactured, right? So these are like simple and durable products. Something like a cuckoo clock or a glass product or other just complex items, those are just break more often or they break more easily, and as a result give me more headaches. And then I prefer products that are kind of like weird. So if I look at like all my products and which ones have been successful and which ones haven't been as successful, the products that are like a little bit weird or like I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to tell my friends about, or not necessarily embarrassed, but like they would kind of laugh at me a little bit, those tend to be the ones that do better on Amazon. And I think the reason for this is that people want to sell products that are like really hip and cool and sexy and fun, like they can brag to people and stuff. Whereas not that many people say they want to sell like door hinges or like whatever else other insert like kind of weird or kind of lame product here. Not as many people want to sell it, and as a result, they're typically less competitive. So I went over the must-haves, the nice-to-haves: small, lightweight, easy to source and ship, low seasonality, simple and durable, and preferably something kind of weird. So next, we want a niche that has solid demand. And as you know, the level of demand is one of the areas that I'm looking for. But I don't want to just find a individual or a singular product that has good demand. I want this niche or this opportunity as a whole. So what I look for that is the cumulative sales of, I usually go about the top 10 sellers. And as a rule of thumb, I use about 3,000 sales per month as a cumulative for those top 10 sellers. Now, the reason that I do this is because this means that there is existing demand on Amazon for these. There's not just one product that tends to be or happens to be an outlier. This it doesn't mean that I think that this product might sell well if I start to sell it on Amazon. This means that there's like legit existing demand. There's already 3,000 individuals purchasing these products every single month. So the way to gauge how many sales per month, or the easiest way to do that, is by just using the Jungle Scout extension, okay? So I searched on here for marshmallow sticks. I'm just gonna run the Jungle Scout extension. And the Jungle Scout extension will show me how many units are being sold by each individual listing, okay? So, not including sponsored products, they have the little SP next to them, so I know they're sponsored products. The rest of them, so this is like the #1 organic result, it shows me that there's 512 of these being sold every month. Next one, 1,800, then 1,500. So, really, even just these top 3 sellers, they have at least 3,000 sales. If I look for something else that is probably a little bit smaller, but still has decent demand, let's do spring clips. All right, let's take a look at this one real quick, and I'm just showing you how I gauge the level of demand. So it's loading up, and of course, like I said, this is kind of like a rough rule of thumb, right? So it doesn't have to be exactly 3,000, but that's essentially what I'm looking for. So it's like, between those, it's like about 600, 1,100, 1,600, close to 2,000. By the time I get down to these next few ones, we're like well over 3,000. So these would both be examples of like 2 niches that have at least 3,000 sales per month. All right. So that's kind of like big picture how I'm gauging demand. Now, keep in mind when I'm talking about all of this that at the end of the day, I'm looking for an opportunity that has like the biggest differential between demand and competition. So, the 3,000, that's not like a hard rule of thumb. I'm only selling products that have at least 3,000 or whatever. But like, if it has like 2,000 but very little competition, that'd be something I want to sell. If it has 5,000 but like medium competition, that might be something that I'll sell. But I'm going to show you some more examples in the later lessons, and you'll start to get a hang of how I think about these different types of opportunities. Now, when we're talking about competition, like I said, that's another important part for me, right? There's a few different ways that I gauge this. The easiest way that I gauge this is based off of the number of reviews, okay? So the products that have more reviews are more competitive. They've been on Amazon longer, they've been selling longer. As a result, Amazon typically ranks them a little bit better, and they just have more social proof. They have more reviews that have been left on those individual products, right? So reviews is one. But then the other things that I look for are the LQS, which I'll show you right here inside of the extension. This is the listing quality score. A 10 would be a very high quality listing. A 1 would be a poor quality listing. So listings with an LQS of 7, 8, 9, 10, these are pretty high quality listings that are convert well and are more difficult to compete with. Listings that are like a 3, 4, 5, those are lower quality listings, and as a result, they won't convert as well, okay? So, competition, I'm gauging it off of number of reviews, the listing quality score, and then the last way to gauge the competition is just based off of how many listings there are on the search page that look similar. All right, so right here I just did spring clamps, right? I would say that these all look like, these first 2, these look like spring clamps. This one right here, you're kind of getting into a carabiner. I think this could still be considered a spring clamp. Now I'm getting into, well, this one's really weird, a hot bathing spring. There's we're starting to kind of get away from spring clamps, right? Like I'm starting to see these little cotter pin things, even though that's sponsored. I'm starting to see a bracket that you hang on the wall, some more carabiners. So, like the first couple lines there, I would say those are all like what I would consider spring clips, but we start to get away from it a little bit. Now, sometimes you'll make searches. Like let's just try another one. Let's just try garlic press. Sometimes you'll make searches that it's like an entire page of all products that are clearly that product that you're searching for. So these are all garlic presses, all garlic presses, all garlic presses, right? A full page of pure garlic press results. So that would be an indicator to me that that's a higher competition niche. And if we run the extension again, I'm sure what you'll see here is that there's a high number of reviews. The listing qualities are probably pretty high, and there's no other products like on this results page that I would consider to be kind of like off niche. And you're probably wondering like, okay, what constitutes a high number of reviews to you? Reviews in like the 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, even 50, 60, 70, that's like lower competition. Once you start getting into the hundreds and thousands, that's pretty high competition. So there's one person that snuck up here with a low review rate, but really besides that, these are all high review numbers. So this will be a very competitive niche, all right? So just quick recap, right, with the competition. I'm looking at the number of reviews, I'm looking at the listing quality score, and then I'm looking at how many products on that page are, definitely like that particular niche. So we went over two of the items that I say are must-haves, right? The demand, the competition. I also said good margins, no legal issues, and the ability to improve. So let's talk a little bit about how I determine whether or not there's going to be good margins. At this phase of the research process, the only thing that I'm looking at is I'm going to look at the fees or really more importantly, the net, okay? So the net column right here in the extension, this is how much money is left over after Amazon takes their cut. And you can click on this, okay? So all I did there was I just clicked on the net, and it will show me how much the Amazon fees are, how much this product's selling for, and then ultimately what my profit would be if I enter my product costs. So just for example purposes here, let's say I could get this garlic press for $2. The product price, $13.99. I'm subtracting $5.29, subtracting my $2, and that leaves me with $6.70, which would be a really good profit for like a $2 item. Now, realistically, it's going to cost me more than that to get it, right? But that's how I'm thinking about my margins. Now, later, we're going to actually contact factories and we're going to start looking for pricing. But for the meantime, a way that you can kind of gauge the amount that this will cost. Now, this is a very crude way to do this, but a way you can kind of do it is you can go to Alibaba. I can search on here for garlic press, and you'll see some rough pricing on this page. Now, like I said, this is very rough because this is like, you'll see a lot of different prices here, and this is a pretty big ballpark, and sometimes when you contact the factories, it's in this range, sometimes it isn't. But right, I'm saying like $2.50, $1 to $3, $4.65, $2, $1.30. So it's like, actually, for something like this, it seems like maybe a higher end would be like $3, $4, lower end, $1.52. So you can use that as kind of like a little bit of a rough gauge or like an initial sanity check to see whether or not there is any, like money left over. Some niches you'll be going through and you'll see that it's pretty common for there only be like $1.40 left. It's like, even for inexpensive products, if there's only $1.40 left after like Amazon's fees, there's no way for you to make any money on that, right? Like you need, I'd say at least like $5, $6, $7 left over after Amazon's fees in order for you to purchase this product, have some money for PPC, that kind of thing. So again, right at this phase when we're looking at products, this is just kind of like rough sanity checks, right? As far as the no legal issues, just like a quick sanity check at this point is you can't sell anything that's supposed to be licensed. And what I mean by that is, like a t-shirt with your favorite sports teams on it, or a Barbie doll, or a doll that's supposed to look like one of these Disney characters or whatever else. Those all have to be licensed by these legit companies, right? Whereas like a garlic press, no licensing required. There is another aspect of this that's whether or not it's patented, but we won't get too deep into that right now. We'll do that in a later lesson because that starts to get a little bit more complicated. And just the last section here, that I said, the must-haves, the ability to improve. The easiest way or just the quick way to gauge the ability to improve is whether or not there's some products that are selling well, even though they get poor reviews. And what I'm talking about, I'm looking through these garlic presses. It doesn't look like there's any that get like pretty poor reviews on this page. There's some with like 4 stars, right? But what I'm talking about here is I would like to find items that are selling well, even though they get a fair number of bad reviews. And then the way that I figure out how I'm going to improve upon them is I just read the bad reviews. But we'll go into that a little bit more depth in a later lesson. All right. So big picture, that's how, like right now we're still thinking like big picture, and I'll give you more details for all these, I promise. Big picture, this is how I'm thinking about what types of products I want to sell on Amazon. Recap: must-haves, existing demand, low competition, good margins, no legal issues, ability to improve. Nice-to-haves: small and lightweight, easy to source or ship, low seasonality, they're simple, and I prefer something weird. So now you've got it. Big picture, that's what we're going to be looking for when we are looking for the product that we want to sell on Amazon.